I cannot overstate how electrifying the atmosphere was when Will Smith entered that courtroom. It wasn't just shocking, it was history unfolding in real time. The man who once slapped Chris Rock on live TV now stepping into this firestorm, right into the heart of Diddy's collapsing empire. That's not just drama, that's a cultural earthquake. And let's be honest, nobody was ready. Not the reporters, not the spectators, not even the judge. People gasped. Phones nearly dropped from hands trying to share updates. You could sense it. The tension, the bewilderment, the buzz of what is he doing here, rippling across the room. But here's the twist. Will wasn't just there to watch. He was there to testify. And the moment he raised his hand and swore that oath, you could hear a pin drop. This wasn't a cameo. This was serious. The man had something to say, and the expression on his face wasn't for show. It was a blend of fury, pain, and absolute clarity. And I believe that moment right there will rank as the second most defining moment of Will's public life, because what he revealed next changed everything. Let me be crystal clear. Will Smith wasn't acting. This wasn't an Oscar speech or some PR stunt. This was a man unraveling in real time, exposing a chapter of his life none of us anticipated. His voice, it shook. You could feel the weight behind every sentence. He didn't rush, didn't falter, he was deliberate. Every word landed like a hammer. And when he said he'd been carrying this for years, you believed him. You felt it. This wasn't just an industry feud. It was betrayal, deep, personal, quietly devastating. The moment Will started tearing up, it wasn't awkward. It was gut-wrenching. It was like witnessing someone finally release a secret that's been consuming them. And the astonishing part? The courtroom, full of stoic jurors and tough attorneys, looked stunned. Nobody moved, nobody whispered. Even the judge paused to sip water. And I think what really hit me was how raw it felt. This wasn't about destroying Diddy. It was about reclaiming something: dignity, safety, truth. Will never appeared smaller, yet somehow mightier than in that precise moment. This is the part that left everyone speechless. When Will began detailing the incident, you could almost sense people leaning in, knowing something huge was coming. But not this huge. According to Will, it started as a typical industry event, but things escalated quickly. He described being invited by Diddy under the pretense of mentorship or networking, something Hollywood insiders know well. But what he encountered instead, allegedly, was manipulation at its most unsettling. He said he felt trapped. That's the word he used, trapped. He described being in a room, isolated, uneasy, and suddenly realizing he wasn't just a guest, he was prey. He spoke of how Diddy wielded charm like a tool, shifting from friendly to forceful in an instant. And that's when everything shifted. Will didn't reveal every detail, but he didn't need to. The emotion in his voice, the haunted way he recalled that night, said more than any explicit account could. And honestly, that made it strike harder, because the silence between his words, that's where the real story lived. It wasn't just an event. It was a turning point, a moment that shattered trust, rewired his sense of safety, and made him question everyone in that elite circle. And I think the most chilling part? Will stayed silent for years because he didn't believe anyone would trust him. And now, he's finally telling the world, in court, on record, under oath. Let me be honest, Diddy's reaction was cold. And I don't mean composed cold. I mean ice in his veins, chilling. Will Smith was up there, baring his soul, breaking down in front of cameras and strangers, sharing a story that clearly tore him apart. And Diddy? He smirked like it was all a show, like none of it mattered. And I don't care what side you're on. That smirk spoke louder than any testimony could. People noticed it. The jury noticed it. Everyone in that room saw it. This wasn't confidence or grace under pressure, it was arrogance. It was a man who either feels untouchable or has been shielded by wealth and fame so long, he genuinely believes nothing can touch him. Even his legal team seemed shaken. They scrambled into damage control, objecting at every sentence, whispering rebuttals, trying to poke holes in Will's account. But none of it worked. Not a single deflection landed because the damage was done. Will didn't bring a smoking gun, he was the smoking gun. And Diddy's detachment only made things worse. That contrast, Will breaking down in tears while Diddy barely blinked, that's the kind of image jurors never forget. It's the kind of moment that lingers when they're deliberating. And let's be real, when it comes to perception, Diddy lost that round badly. If he thought silence and smugness would shield him, he miscalculated horribly. Let me tell you something. The internet erupted the moment Will's testimony hit social media. We're talking wall-to-wall coverage, millions of tweets and TikToks, racking up thousands of views within hours. Everyone had an opinion. Some were in utter disbelief, others had suspected something for a while, but nearly everyone agreed on one thing. Will Smith just shifted the entire narrative of this trial. Hashtags like Dr. Justice for Will and Dr. Diddy Trial Exposed started trending before the session even closed. On YouTube, reaction videos were uploaded mid-testimony. The emotion in Will's voice, the pain in his eyes, it resonated through every phone screen and newsfeed. People felt it. Celebrities began weighing in, some with vague Instagram stories, others liking tweets that showed clear support. And let's be real, Hollywood usually stays silent during scandals like this, but this time, that silence began to crack. Because Will's not just any witness, he's one of their own, someone with decades of respect, who's made them laugh, cry, and grow up. So when he says he was hurt by another one of their own, people listen. Media outlets didn't hesitate. Every gossip site, mainstream news channel, and podcast host scrambled to dissect the courtroom footage. They slowed it down, freeze-framed Diddy's expression, analyzed Will's pauses and tone like it was a Super Bowl play. And every outlet, even the typically neutral ones, leaned the same way. Will looked truthful, Diddy looked guilty. But here's the wild part. The court of public opinion wasn't just tilting in Will's favor, it was collapsing toward it. People who once dismissed these scandals were now saying, if Will's saying this, there must be something to it. And I think that's what shook the industry most. Because if Will Smith steps up to say, here's what happened to me, it opens the door for countless others to do the same. This wasn't just testimony, it was a grenade lobbed into the heart of Diddy's crumbling empire. And I think the fallout will be massive. Let's start with Will, because yes, this was a moment of deep vulnerability, but it was also a reclamation. Will has been dragged through the mud over the past few years, from the Oscar slap to internet memes questioning his manhood. People were writing him off, but now he's flipped the narrative. He stood up, told his truth, and reminded everyone why he's still a titan in Hollywood. This wasn't just a tearful confession, it was a comeback. And if you ask me, it hit harder than anything he's ever done. This is Will 2.0. Raw, unfiltered, and finally prioritizing himself. But for Diddy, this is a collapse. Another brutal blow to a man already suffocating under decades of whispered rumors, headlines, and quiet payouts. Will's testimony wasn't just another accusation, it was confirmation. Confirmation that people close to Diddy have seen things, felt things, and aren't staying silent anymore. That's the difference. This wasn't a random lawsuit from a distant associate. This was Will freaking Smith, putting his name and reputation on the line to speak out. And once someone like Will breaks the silence, the dominoes start falling. I truly believe this. Opens the floodgates. There are people out there watching this moment unfold. People with similar stories. People who were too scared to speak. People who thought no one would believe them. Now they know, if Will can say it, so can they. We could be looking at a cascade of testimonies, a wave of names, dates, places, all locked in memory, finally getting airtime. And when that happens, Diddy's not just going to lose deals, he's going to lose the empire he spent his life building. Let's be real, this isn't just about Will or Diddy. This is about everyone in that elite Hollywood circle who looked the other way. The ones who attended the parties, laughed at the rumors, knew and said nothing. And now, the clock is ticking. Hollywood has been skating on thin ice for years. Polished premieres, fake friendships, glam squads hiding the rot beneath. But the ice is cracking, the illusion is breaking. And Will Smith just took a sledgehammer to the whole system. Because, let's call it what it is, a reckoning. The days of brushing things under the rug with a PR statement and a charity appearance are over. People are watching, people are documenting, And every time someone speaks up, especially someone with Will's fame, it exposes how deep the rot really goes. This testimony isn't just a story, it's a signal. A signal that the old rules don't work anymore, that silence doesn't protect, that loyalty to predators isn't business, it's complicity. And I think a lot of people in Hollywood right now are scrambling, trying to erase texts, delete emails, and reframe old relationships before the next name gets called. Because it's not just about what happened, it's about who let it happen, who enabled it, who protected it for decades. And if even a fraction of the rumors we've heard over the years are true, then this is just the tip of a very ugly iceberg. And I'll say this straight. I hope it all burns down, because maybe, just maybe, we're finally seeing the end of the untouchable celebrity era and the start of one where the truth actually matters more than the headlines. In the end, Smith's courage in speaking out may inspire others to come forward. The truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how deeply it's buried. This trial is far from over, and the ripple effects are just beginning. The courtroom drama has transcended the legal proceedings, becoming a symbol of a broader movement toward transparency and justice. As the world watches, the hope is that this moment marks a turning point, not just in the trial, but in the culture of the entertainment industry as a whole.